This is the innovator Violent Tommy Dreamer. You're listening to Audibly Offensive Radio, right here, taking you to the extreme.
In 2008, a cracked-out sports show was sent to prison by a military court for a crime they didn't commit: the comedic murder of Oakland Raiders owner Al Davis. These men promptly escaped from a maximum security stockade to the Los Angeles underground. Today, still wanted by the government, they survive as soldiers of fortune. If you have a problem, if no one else can help, and if you can find them, maybe you can hire the AO Team. Audibly Offensive Radio.
We sit here on a very momentous occasion because with this show marks the AO-versary, baby. It was on this show, what was it? 3 years ago that Jake Leonard and several of our other compatriots all across this wonderful internet decided to actually syndicate this crazy-ass show. And we celebrated by doing a WrestleMania preview. We continue that tradition tonight. Wow, this is starting to really sound like the Heisman Trophy or something. But whatever. It is that big. Welcome to the Audibly Offensive Radio WrestleMania 31 Spectacular. Yeah, that really sounded crappy, but whatever, we're going with it. My name is Patrick Swafford. Thank you guys so much for joining us, whether it's on any of our affiliates, WWPM MediaNet, 101.9 Fox FM, Bar Talk Sports, our buddies at MTR Radio Online, even on our own website, audibly.offensive.com, or on the iTunes Store where you can listen to every show we've ever done, including the last several WrestleMania preview shows. Thanks for making this week the best part of your week. And, well, let me start that one over. Thank you for making this hour-ish the best part of your week. And let's go ahead and be honest. The authority that you're going to want for WrestleMania. You see what I did there, guys? WrestleMania.
I'm sorry, I don't follow.
Oh, my goodness.
Okay. All right. As you hear, we got two voices other than my annoying ass one in the studio tonight. First and foremost, let's go ahead and introduce the rookie, I guess you could call him, in terms of the if we were putting this in terms of WWE standpoint, this is the guy that is just now starting out in NXT. He's, you know what? He's Carmella, if you will. You know, he thinks he looks good, but everybody just boos the ever-loving shit out of him. Our good buddy,
I don't care.
You know, he is the intellectual savior of the asshole masses, our good friend, Mr. Brian Crego.
All I got to say is once is lucky, twice is a trend, but three, it's a happening, because if this is 3 weeks in a row, I must be doing something right.
Let's go ahead and be honest. I can't find anybody else to do this on a full-time basis. So, you know,
you can't say that anymore because you found me. So,
all right,
let's roll.
Brian, you're the best of what's left.
Yes, you're the best of what's left. And speaking of the best,
take it. That'd be a great T-shirt. Start printing them right. That's a great T-shirt. I'll do it. We're done. It's done.
Let me go ahead and introduce the other voice that you're hearing. If you are not a stranger to Audibly Offensive Radio, then you're not a stranger to this asshole. He is one of my dearest friends. He is, you know what, dude, I gotta do it because I haven't done your full-blown intro in quite a while. So here we go. He is the elder statesman of Audibly Offensive Radio. He is a star of stage and screen in such movies as The Dark Knight Rises, Promised Land, Foxcatcher. The list goes on and on. He is our A-lister. He is the man with the peso maker, because definitely sure as hell isn't the money maker. He is our good friend and yours, Mr. Todd Bobenreith.
And one, good God, damn handsome man.
Wait, Limke's here?
Handsome.
I always use that line for Limke.
Another thing stolen from Joel. He's just like the center of the litter box. He's always surrounded by pussy. Gertner.
Boom! Todd, I missed you.
You should aim at it.
Oh, my God. Ladies and gentlemen, we are off and freaking running. Before we get into the reason we all came here tonight, Todd, I know you don't give a flying rat's ass about the NCAA tournament. Brian, let me ask you a quick question. How's your bracket?
Salvageable. If everything breaks the same way, it's salvageable. But I think I fell a victim to the same thing I always do. All these prognosticators with, watch out for this upset. Oh, watch out for this upset. Ooh, watch out for this upset over here. And I have about 4 or 5 of them that if I had just gone with my instincts, I'd be doing a lot better than I'm doing right now.
How many teams out of the Sweet 16 do you still have?
Actually, I've got it in front of me. Let me do a quick tally here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 for 16.
All right, I'm a little bit better. I'm 10 for 16.
Pat, if I may,
Go ahead.
I recall correctly, the last time I did fill out a bracket, I smoked you two.
Yes, you did. Well, you did. Yeah, because Crego was in our bracket challenge last year.
But I mean, Fräulein Lemke, though, was in it. I smoked two of you.
Oh, yeah. But everybody kicks my ass in a bracket challenge. I mean, that's just, dude, I never do good at these things, but I enjoy doing them. That way I can rip up my bracket and flush it down the toilet while singing Danny Boy. I almost did that on day 1, and then day 2, I was like, wait a minute, I might be able to pull my ass out of this. So,
every new thing you say about yourself just reveals more about a broken and shattered life.
I know. I sing Danny Boy while I'm carrying my bracket up and flushing it down the toilet. It's a comedic tradition like no other. The master Baders. Yeah, there you go. Anyway, let's
down.
Let's go ahead and get into what we actually came here to talk about. Because let's go ahead and be honest, boys and girls, this is going to take a while. WrestleMania.
What color the dress is?
Yes, what color the dress is. I still maintain that it was the same dress that Monica Lewinsky wore with Bill Clinton, but that's just me. How you doing? But WrestleMania 31, and we're not gonna go through all the. Keep in mind, boys and girls, we do realize that wrestling is scripted. It's not fake.
What?
Wait, what?
Wait. Huh?
It's still real to me, damn it. I know. We understand this. Just like a lot of our friends, like our buddies at Chairshot Reality, which amazing wrestling site, by the way. Check them out because, Josh Eisenberg, personal friend of the show, and he hates Lemke just as much as I do. So can't be a bad guy. But for us and us all being wrestling fans, it's all about, and I think you guys would agree with me, tonight it's all about not necessarily breaking down the show kind of like it would be a game, but how we got here in terms of developing the storylines, developing the characters, developing the matches, and where potentially we go after WrestleMania 31 is over on Sunday, because let's be honest, the most interesting Raw of the year is always the Raw after WrestleMania. Agreed?
Yes.
Not the Raw in the middle of October?
Nope. Well, let me kind of put you guys in the driver's seat on this one to begin with. Would you rather start at some of the lower matches on the card, or do you want to talk about the huge news that broke yesterday before we get into anything else? Or do you want to save that?
Let's do the curtain jerkers first.
Curtain jerkers first it is. And I gotta be honest about one of these curtain jerker matches. I'm not really happy that this Fatal 4-Way Tag match is on the kickoff show. Because you got Tyson Kidd and Cesaro defending the titles against the Mexican luchadors who are actually from Puerto Rico, Los Matadores, the New Day, and the Usos.
New Day.
Don't ever do that again, Crego.
Sorry.
Don't ever do that again. Or if you really want to get completely horrible, you've got the Cat Lover and the European, the Mexican luchadors from Puerto Rico, the Black Preachers, and the Samoans. Rikishi's kids. Just throwing that out there. I gotta be honest, I can't really understand why this, of all matches, is on the is on the kickoff show. Why couldn't we have, say, I don't know, the Bellas versus Paige and AJ on the kickoff?
Because they need the TNA factor for the big show.
Well, at least we're not having a Diva Battle Royal this year.
Oh, God, no.
Well, as I was getting ready for tonight, I just made a list of all the matches, just so I could wrap my head around what's actually happening. And I started thinking back to WrestleManias that I watched as a kid. And pretty much every match in the WrestleManias from when I was a kid were singles matches. And a lot of them had a belt associated with them. And that's why I think we all agree that they were some of the best WrestleManias we've ever seen. The cards top to bottom are great, but now it's almost like the WWE is afraid to let two guys or two divas go off and have their own angles, their own feuds, develop them over time, and then, that's why you have a ladder match with 7 people in it, and you have the Honor the Giant Memorial Battle Royal with I don't know how many people are going to be in it, and you have a Divas tag match between the Bellas and AJ Lee. It's like, if it becomes a spot fest, which I think a lot of these matches tend to become, is that worth watching?
And I don't think it is. I made my point about the tag title match, but I want to address this Divas tag match. First off, the Divas title is not being defended at WrestleMania, which I don't really get. Here's something else I get even less. Now, so you've got, the Bella Twins, very hateable because they play that whole mean girl thing pretty damn well, especially Nikki, because she's guilty by association because she's in a real-life relationship with the most hated guy in the WWE, John Cena. So she's guilty by association. Up against Paige and AJ Lee. Here's what I don't get. We're watching Raw Monday night. Paige gets a title shot. And now that match ends with Paige and AJ fighting each other over an accidental elbow. Paige accidentally gets elbowed, and it cost her the match. Gets accidentally elbowed by AJ, costs her the match, and then these two girls scrap at the end. Can I just raise my hand and say I don't get it? I don't
get it either.
To me, and the build-up to almost every match on this card, that one line, I don't get it, can apply to, let's see, one, you can't really say I don't get it to the Battle Royal because the Battle Royal is a Battle Royal. So 1, 2, 3, 4 of the matches that aren't a Battle Royal. I take that back. 4 of those matches. So 4 out of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 4 out of the 7, 4 out of the 6. I'm not counting the Battle Royal, and I'm not counting. Actually, I am counting that crazy ass ladder match. But there's 4 matches involved where the build up to everything has just been a fustercluck. You just
maybe that's because they're saving their best storytelling for the big matches, and they don't have the ability or the inclination to develop other stories to that degree. I don't know.
Todd, what's your take on it, man?
Well, the girls' stories don't really need much build-up because people just watch it for the girls. Let's be honest about that.
Okay, but
back in the day, we've talked about this. Well, go ahead, Pat. I'm sorry.
Here's my thing, and I think it's kind of a double standard to say that. And I'm not saying like, oh, you shouldn't objectify women. Dude, I am the biggest objectifier of women on the friggin' planet. Look at my wife. But here's my thing, and this is what I don't get. You look at women, you look at the divas on the main roster, and you automatically write it off that you're not expecting a good match. They're just there because they're good-looking women. The only time you're expecting to have a really good match is when any of the 3 are involved, and when some combination of AJ, Paige, or Natalya are involved and nobody else because they can wrestle. Nobody else, everybody else is essentially just an athletic model. Mm-hmm. Then you look at NXT, and any woman that steps in that ring can wrestle her ass off. Bayley, Sasha Banks, Charlotte, Emma, Becky Lynch. You know, the vast majority of those women can wrestle their asses off. And they can wrestle circles around everybody in the division not named Paige, AJ Lee, or Natalya Neidhart. So to me, that's a double standard to be able to just kind of write off a match at WrestleMania because it's the women's match. But let's look back at the last NXT TakeOver when it was that fatal four-way between Becky, Sasha, Bayley, and Charlotte. And that was one of the best
match, by the way.
It was one of the best matches on the card. Let's go back a little bit farther to the NXT TakeOver before that, when it was Sasha versus Charlotte for the title, and that was almost the match of the entire freaking night. It would have been the match of the night had it not been for Adrian Neville and Sami Zayn. So that's a problem that I've got right there and you're going to hear a lot of audience, I'm sorry, but you're going to hear a lot of comparisons from me between main roster and NXT. Because if it's happening in developmental, why the hell isn't it happening on the main roster?
Because they're hungry in developmental, and once they're on the main roster, all they have to do is look good.
I disagree with that because I look back at the previous generation of women's wrestlers, and you had people like Lita and Trish Stratus and Jacqueline and Victoria and Molly Holly. Mickey James. You can't accuse them of just being good to look at. They could go. And two of the names I just mentioned are in the Hall of Fame.
And there was no developmental back then either.
True, but my thing is, if you look at this objectively, you've got some dead weight up in the main roster. You know, you could make the argument that maybe it's time to, you know, marginalize some of these other people, these Alicia Foxes of the world and stuff like that, and say we're going to give Charlotte a run, we're going to give Bayley a run, we're going to give Sasha Banks a run, because it makes for more compelling matches that don't last a minute and 20 seconds. And now we're going to go to a commercial break and all that, and it gives AJ and Paige and Natalya more opponents than each other.
Right, and instead of focusing on that redheaded chick from Total Divas.
Total waste.
Yeah, tell me about it. Now, an absolute waste. I mean, I'm sure she's probably a really nice person and with a great personality. She's not bad to look at, but dear God, watching her wrestle, I just want to stick a fork in my eye. But that's something I'm sorry. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm hung up on it, and maybe I'm hung up on the fact that I want wrestling, not sports entertainment. And I may be in the minority on that. I hope probably not on this panel, but I'm
a couple decades too late for that.
Oh, I know. But to me, that match, that tag team match between the Bellas and Paige and AJ has been built just piss poorly because, you know, it was the Mean Girls beating up Paige, which that was done really well. And then AJ came back from her hiatus, whatever you want to call it, and it kind of breathed life back into that rivalry and added a brand new wrinkle. But it seems like that whole back elbow that AJ threw that caught Paige and cost her the match against Nikki Bella and cost her the title on Monday just kind of just put a halt to all that momentum they had built up pretty well. Somebody want to weigh in on that?
I mean, if you're going to do it that way, you got to do it the same thing with the Bellas. I would have thought there would have been infighting with them by now.
Yeah.
Because you can't tell me that Brie is okay with taking a backseat to Nikki this whole time. I mean, at least if you're going to have Paige and AJ infighting, let's have Brie and Nikki do some infighting and some dissension in the ranks, so we have at least the possibility of it either degenerating into just, it's an all-out brawl, or they turn it from a tag match to a fatal four-way or something like that. That would be interesting. If it was a fatal four-way, that would actually be more interesting than the way it's presently constructed, because now everybody's got their own personal stake in it.
Right.
Within a couple weeks after WrestleMania, I can pretty much guarantee you it's going to be one of the Bellas and either AJ or Paige against the other Bella and either AJ and Paige. I bet you that's what they're working up to.
That could
double
be
switch on each side.
That could be an interesting wrinkle. All I can hope is if the Bellas split up and one goes face and the other goes heel, I can only hope that we don't get that Jerry Springer bullcrap that we got back shortly after SummerSlam. I only hope and pray that it doesn't go back to that, because that was worse than what we've got right now. At least this is an improvement compared to SummerSlam last year. But thank God for that.
Which is strange, because Stephanie was involved in that. And usually everything Steph touches turns to gold. So
yeah.
Except for Test.
It's too soon.
Anyway, Todd, pick a match. What do you want to talk about?
I think the next match we should speak about, let's get the Battle Royal out of the way.
All right. I got an interesting wrinkle about this Battle Royal. I don't know if you guys have heard or not, but during WrestleMania Access, NXT is holding a 4-man tournament between Tyler Breeze, Adrian Neville, Hideo Itami, and Finn Balor. And the winner of that tournament gets the last spot in the Battle Royal. So there will be an NXT guy in this Battle Royal. Interesting little wrinkle. Cool. They're not going to win, obviously, but I think what it's going to do is it's going to set up the next call-up. And I got a feeling it's going to be Adrian Neville.
Do you know how many people are enrolled in the thing already?
No.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Including the NXT guy.
They'll throw in more, because, they did 30 people last year. They'll have to at least do that this year. So, there will be more guys involved in that.
JJ Security gets in the Battle Royal and wins it.
That'd be awesome.
My buddy Joey.
I forgot. Joey Mercury and our distinguished gentleman, Mr. Bobenreith over here, have a long history from Bobenreith's days of managing in the independent scene way back in the day.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's awesome seeing him on TV.
Because you managed Joey before he and Christian York made it to ECW, right?
I didn't manage them; they were just my buddies in the backstage. But yes, before ECW. Yes.
I thought you managed them.
I managed the bad guys; they were good guys.
Oh, okay. So you ought to help us get Joey on the show, man.
He's a pretty busy guy, of course, but
I know. I was kidding.
Well, I was going to say I still talk to Christian. Well, I just go to. I don't know if I want to ask him though.
Hell, Christian York would be just as good. Christian York was on TNA.
I could probably get.
That'd be badass. Anyway, moving right along. There's a couple of different wrinkles in this Battle Royal that I'm really interested to see. Number one is Axelmania.
Oh boy!
Come on, Crego, that is funny as hell. Look, I'm just glad to see Joe Hennig finally come out of his shell and stop being just a damn robot. Look, for the love of God, show some charisma. Your father was Kurt Hennig. Your father was Mr. Perfect.
He's just the latest in a long line of guys who are trying to imitate Hulk Hogan, I guess. And I guess if you're going to imitate somebody, let's imitate him.
Yeah, duh.
Brother.
One of the easiest ways to get heel heat is to imitate Hulk Hogan. That's just kind of obvious. But the other,
although when Big Show did it, it was hilarious.
Oh my God, when Big Show did it was amazing. I loved it. The other thing I'm looking really forward to seeing here is the dynamic between The Miz and Damien Mizdow. Dude, is there any more over mid-Carter in the entire roster than Mizdow right now?
There's one problem, though.
What's that?
He's over because of The Miz. As soon as they have their fight together, and then Damian goes on to other things, he's done for.
I know. That's the problem.
That's why they're trying to stretch this out as long as they can.
Exactly.
Because it's going to be a precipitous fall once it does happen.
Precipitous. Oh, there's your $10 word for the day, Crego. You need to define that.
I can define precipitous. It means severe or extreme.
All right.
Like, down he goes.
Excuse me. Down goes Frazier.
Todd, that's my gimmick, by the way. I use the $10 words and then I have to define them because I'm the intellectual savior of the asshole masses.
I appreciate that, but you should be saying silence now and then, though.
Well,
I'm not going to step on your toes or anything.
Sorry.
Oh, man. But, just kind of...
I just met you, so...
Oh, that doesn't
already
matter.
hate me. Woohoo!
Yeah, yeah, anyway. But here's the thing, and this is something I'm not really sure what the whole point of the Battle Royal is this year, because when Cesaro won it last year, you expected the WWE to take Cesaro, since he won the Battle Royal, and do something with it. And he became a Paul Heyman guy, and that fell flat. Absolutely. Flatter than Kansas. Should they be treating this kind of like the new version of the King of the Ring, or is this just an ancillary match where it's just, who cares?
I fear that it's becoming an who cares.
Todd,
Cesaro got a pretty good pop last year, though.
Oh, he got a great pop, especially when he picked up the Big Show and body slammed him out of the ring.
The problem is they dropped the ball both with Cesaro, just like they did with The Miz back when The Miz was champion. Do you know how over The Miz was back when he was champion as a face, and then they just kept him heel?
Yeah.
He could have been the biggest thing in the Federation if they would have turned him face. People were chanting his what was his catchphrase?
Awesome.
No, the other one.
Oh, really?
Really? Yeah,
Really?
Cesaro
Anyway.
was over as hell, and they just let it slide.
Yeah, Cesaro is over, just like Dolph Ziggler is over, just like Daniel Bryan is over. Not because of what they can do with a microphone, but what they can do in the ring. All three of them are magic in the ring, and they can have a great match with anybody. That's why they're over, because fans like wrestling. There, I said that magic word again. And they got over on talent, but it's a talentless hack that's in the main event at WrestleMania. But we're gonna get to that in a little bit. And I came up with an interesting wrinkle earlier today that might be kind of fun to talk about. But we'll get to the main event in a little bit. Crego,
you're full of interesting wrinkles.
Very much so. Crego, I'll let you pick the next match.
All right, the next match. What do I want to talk about? What do I want to talk about? Let's turn the page here. I don't know if I want to talk about that one because I don't think I like where the discussion will head on that one.
Well, then pick one.
I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to talk about it anyway.
All right.
Let's talk Bray Wyatt versus Undertaker.
This is one of the few matches, in my opinion, that's actually been built up worth a half a damn. And the sad thing is, it's one person that's been building the match up. By the way, you're going to hear me say that exact same phrase later on. Here's
the thing. Now, I'm a admitted Undertaker fan. I have watched the guy since he started. I have gotten the goosebumps, as Jim Ross is fond of saying, when, the spine-chilling, blood-curdling, all that kind of, when he enters an arena, the psychology, the evolution of his character over the course of his career, how he's added moves, submission moves, and jiu-jitsu moves, I guess you would call them, and stuff like that. But last year, and I know you felt the same way because we were in the same room together watching it, I was rendered speechless by the fact that Brock Lesnar beat him last year. And I see a pattern emerging of he wrestles at WrestleMania and he gives it everything he has for that one show, and then you never see him the rest of the year. I'm worried about what Wyatt might do to him. because Wyatt's younger, he's more athletic than Undertaker is, he's got a lot more energy than Undertaker does. I don't know how compelling of a match it can be, and I just wonder if this is going to be it.
What the heck? Crego, that better not have been your freaking phone.
Sorry.
Oh, my
It hung
God.
up with.
All right, Ty, before I put my 2 cents on this, how about you? What say you on in response to what Crego said?
I've been an Undertaker fan since before he was Undertaker, of course, when he was Mean Mark Callis.
Managed by Paul Heyman.
Paul Heyman.
With the big phone.
Exactly, yes. Undertaker's not as much trouble as he was last year because Bray Wyatt doesn't have the mean streak, the evilness of Brock Lesnar, basically.
Or the superhuman strength.
Exactly. So he's not going to take as much bumping as he did last year. But I really wish he would hang it up, though, just for his own sake. He can hardly walk as it is.
Yeah.
And one time a year, that's going to get old. I can prove it to you because this past interview, Undertaker's bong went off. It was pretty much dead silence in the crowd. And it did get a big pop.
Yeah, but people also pretty much guessed he wasn't walking out. You know,
But it used to be anytime you heard that, the people were on their feet. This time they weren't.
I mean, and people realized that he wasn't walking out when Bray Wyatt pretty much came out with the Druids during Fastlane, and the coffin and everything else.
Yeah.
You pretty much figure, all right, yeah, we're not going to see the Undertaker until WrestleMania. I think, and this goes back to last year's WrestleMania, I think the worst thing to happen to the Undertaker was losing to Brock Lesnar, because the mystique, the Undertaker lost a little bit of that mojo, that mystique, what made him the Undertaker, and that was losing the streak. I think this is it, and this is simply, Bray Wyatt. As far as his interviews, he's challenging the Undertaker because he wants to be the new face of fear. I think what this is the last defense of the yard. And it's a definitive win for The Undertaker to be able to say, no, this is still my yard. I'm still the dead man. And I'm done. That's it.
Well, the sad thing is they're doing the same thing with Bray Wyatt that they did with the Miz and who else we were saying about Mizdow or Cesaro. We've had 5 times Intercontinental Champion with Barrett. Bray Wyatt has not won anything. Why aren't they pushing him? He's the best voice there. He's great in the ring, and he's good in squat. Why?
Because I don't think they know what to do with him. Because I also know that there's a lot of red state people. I'll just leave it at that. Ultra conservatives that do not like the fact that Bray Wyatt has stood in the middle of the ring and sang he's got the whole world in his hands. Because they associate that song with Sunday school and, vacation Bible school and church and Jesus.
But look at the people who are putting money in Vince's pocket. They're putting up their cell phones for his music every time he comes out.
Exactly.
That's who you want to listen to. The people are going to pay you.
Exactly. And let's just go ahead and be honest. I'll just say it right now. I cannot wait to see his entrance on Sunday, and I do not mean The Undertaker's. The Undertaker's entrance will be badass as hell, as it always is. And Crego, you know just as well as I do, there is going to be somebody at your house on Sunday who is going to reference The Undertaker's entrance as, and I quote, "that was gangster."
Yep.
Because our friend Isaac does it every year. Oh my God, that was gangster.
You can set your clock to.
Oh, you can. Oh, absolutely. But Bray Wyatt's entrance, honestly, I think Wyatt's performance, because I fully expect him to do the job, but Wyatt's performance at Mania could get him a huge push. I think he's, it's kind of like how, you hear coaches in team sports. This particular coach is coaching for his job, and then he goes on that winning streak and saves his ass. Bray Wyatt is performing Sunday night for a push. That's my opinion.
I would hope so.
All in all, I still don't think it's going to be a bad match. I don't think the Undertaker would allow himself to hobble his ass out there just to mail it in. I don't think there's a single thing about the Undertaker that says I'm going to mail it in.
I'm not saying he's going to mail it in either. I just wonder, does his condition allow him to do all the things that we're used to seeing him do? And I can't answer that question right now.
I don't think he would be coming back if he couldn't. That's just my take on that. Anything else needs to be said before we move on to the next one?
Best Undertaker entrance ever versus Randy Orton when he floated down to the ring.
I'm gonna say against CM Punk, where all the hands were coming out from the smoke trying to grab at the Undertaker.
The Exorcist cool 3 opening.
That one was badass. That was my favorite.
Of course, the first one he came back with the hat and everything.
I loved last year's too with the coffins, but of course you got to disqualify that because Lesnar beat him.
Yeah, that one was badass too. But yeah, my favorite is my favorite's the hands. To me that was the really badass one in my opinion. But yeah, WrestleMania 20 with the surprise appearance by Paul Bearer, that one was good too. But so we got 4. And WrestleMania 25 because you had Shawn floating down to the to the ramp and then Taker coming up.
There he is. Who just comes up from the depths.
Yeah, that one was good too. So yeah, plenty of Undertaker entrances to talk about. He's always had badass entrances though. I think we can easily say the worst one though was WrestleMania 19 when Limp Bizkit played him to the ring. That one was.
Do you know what Limp Bizkit means, by the way?
WrestleMania 9 was outside.
Do what? What'd you say, Crego?
Worse than WrestleMania 9 when he came out when it was outside with the bird or whatever.
Against Gonzalez.
Oh yeah, against Giant Gonzalez. Yeah.
It was not about that WrestleMania that's worth remembering, but
I do think I do think 19 was worse than 9. 19 was kind of cool because obviously the whole Roman Coliseum set, and it kind of made sense, but it was. Yeah, it was bad, but not as bad as Limp Bizkit. And yes, Todd, I do know what Limp Bizkit means.
Okay, good.
There's little blue pills for that, by the way.
No, that's not what it means.
Oh, then I don't know what.
It's a military hazing ritual where all the newbies have to stand around in a corner with a biscuit between them, and they all have to self-gratify themselves upon the biscuit, and the last one has to eat the biscuit.
Awesome.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Anyway, moving right along. And, so we go from self-gratification to I'm going to pick the next match, and I'm just going to pick the biggest circle jerk in all of this entire card, the 55,000-man ladder match for the WWE Intercontinental Championship between the champion, Bad News Barrett, the champion, R-Truth, the champion Dean Ambrose, the champion Luke Harper, the champion Dolph Ziggler, the champion Stardust, and the champion Daniel Bryan. What in the hell have they been doing just playing, as we say down south, fruit basket turnover with this damn title belt? What in the hell are they doing, Todd?
They are disrespecting the belt even more than they already have.
Oh, I completely agree. I'm like, what in the devil are they doing? It's bad enough that you've got a completely robotic guy with the title in Bad News Barrett. I like Bad News Barrett a whole lot better when he would just come out and just say, I'm afraid I've got some bad news, and then say something sarcastic. It was a lot better when he was doing that, and then he got back in the ring, and you realize just how much he sucks. And then you realize, wait a minute, he won NXT. He won the first season of NXT. He won the first season of NXT, which proves to you just how worthless NXT was, because the first guy eliminated on that season won the title at WrestleMania last year. Just saying. Anyway, is there anybody that can truly benefit from this match? Crego.
Two people potentially could, if they win it and how they win it. And I think it's either Dolph Ziggler or Daniel Bryan. Because
I disagree with both.
Okay, well, that's you're allowed to. It's America.
You're wrong, but you're allowed to.
Yeah. Daniel Bryan is trying to work his way back into the main event picture, I think. Trying to work his way back from injury and trying to prove to everybody I'm back. I'm 100%. And this is a match that I think he can show off some of his skills. And we all know what Ziggler is capable of. And I think Dolph Ziggler has been miscast and misused for the past several years now. So I think those two guys, I would like to see either one of them win. And I think it could result in a push, kind of like we were talking about before with Bray Wyatt, working for a push. You could see one of those guys getting a push, spinning off of this match, in the next couple of months.
Go ahead, Todd. Your thoughts. Crego's not done. Never mind.
No, I just was finishing off. The other guys are just filler as far as I'm concerned. I didn't even know R-Truth was still with the company.
Yeah, apparently he is. Todd, your thoughts.
Well, if you want to know who this match would benefit, obviously R-Truth would benefit him since he hasn't done anything in whatever. Dean Ambrose, I don't know where they're going with this guy. I mean, he already had, the United States title, so is the Intercontinental going to make any difference for him?
Keep in mind, he was also U.S. champ when he was with the Shield.
Right.
Ever since the Shield split up, he has been a non-factor.
Yeah. Luke Harper is nothing without his group.
Why the hell they broke up the Wyatt family, I'll never know. I don't get it. My wife, who is not the biggest wrestling fan in the world, looked at me Monday night and asked me, explain to me this. Why did they bust up the Wyatt family? And I was like, that's the greatest wrestling question you've ever asked me. All right, real quick, going off on our tangent. On first major tangent of the night, because we have a tendency to do that on Audibly Offensive Radio. Bigger I don't get it moment of last year. Breaking up the Wyatts, breaking up the Shield. Discuss.
The Wyatts. Because there's only one strong will there, only one strong character. Whereas the Shield, you can argue Ambrose and Rollins are possibly big names. Whereas Luke Harper and Eric Rowan, they're nothing.
All right, Crego, your thoughts?
I agree with that. I mean, the Wyatts, it didn't really make sense for them to break them up because they had their angle with Cena where they were, giving him sleepless nights. You could do that with any number of people in the WWE. Okay, we're done with Cena. I'm going to go after
Orton.
Daniel. I'm going to go after Randy Orton. I'm going to go after Dolph Ziggler. You could do that with anybody, really, if you need an angle for them for a couple of months.
Could you imagine a Wyatt family versus Randy Orton feud? Because, Randy Orton has a little bit of a darker persona than a Cena or a Daniel Bryan or someone like that. And
how crazy each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would have been absolute magic. I'm going to be honest, and I brought this up because I think that even though I agree with you guys completely that breaking up the Wyatts was the dumber of the two decisions, why breaking up the Wyatts and breaking up the Shield screwed over the same amount of people. Because there's only, in my opinion, I disagree with Todd on one thing. Yeah, there was one shining light out of the Wyatt family. I also think there was only one shining light out of the Shield. And he is, in my opinion, the biggest heel in the company right now, and that's Seth Rollins. He's the only person that came out on the winning end of the Shield breaking up. You can't say that about Reigns because Reigns is finally starting to get that John Cena backlash, and Ambrose is getting lost in the shuffle. Anyway, let's go ahead and let me go ahead and throw in my quick little opinion on who could benefit from winning the Intercontinental Championship. Stardust. The reason I'm saying that is a simple fact that right now he's kind of floating out there in limbo with really no direction because he had that program where he turned on Goldust. Goldust then lost the match at Fastlane, which why they didn't hold that off till WrestleMania, I'll never know. Goldust then retired, and he went back to working only backstage.
He's in the Battle Royal.
He is?
On Sunday. Yeah.
Oh, I had heard he retired. Anyway, moving right along. But Stardust still needs that to be able to justify this, whatever the hell kind of personality it is. I still don't get it. I miss dashing Cody Rhodes. That's all I'm going to say.
With the mask?
Oh, no, dashing Cody Rhodes with the mirror. Dashing Cody Rhodes with the mirror on the Ribbontron right there at the ramp. That's what I miss. Anyway, moving right along. I get the next match, and just because you know what, I'm actually gonna bite the bullet. That way, you guys don't have to start it off. Rusev and Cena. I'll go ahead and get this one out of the way. And can I be honest? This has actually been built up pretty damn well. I don't think, with Cena matches, you kind of look at it like, all right, yeah, it's a Cena match, so therefore it's going to suck. It's still going to suck because John Cena can't wrestle his way out of a wet paper sack, but this has been built up to a point where I actually want to see how they pull this off. Crego, hey, you guys have both known me for years. When's the last time I said I'm looking forward to see how they pull off a John Cena match?
Have you ever said that?
When WrestleMania, SummerSlam 2 years ago. SummerSlam 2 years ago when there was Cena and Daniel Bryan. That was the last time.
True.
That was the last time
I like that we got to see. I think anyway, 2 weeks ago we got to see what an angry heel Cena would look like.
Yeah.
The way he cinched that STF in. To where Rusev was really feeling it in the locker room afterwards.
Yeah. And I got that little wrinkle I want to talk about in a little bit. Yeah, we're never going to see John Cena turn heel. Let's just go ahead and keep dreaming. But
there's only one way that will happen.
Okay, what do you think?
If merchandise sales go down for him, because he's still the biggest seller.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That's the only way.
Absolutely. To me, this has been built up. This is very much a Rocky 4 deal. USA versus Russia, but it's just been built up very well on both ends. John Cena being a lot more aggressive than his normal happy-go-lucky. I'm John Cena. I'm the good guy. Yay! It's been a darker John Cena, which I like. And you're also seeing Rusev play the heel with or without Lana. I mean, when he had that god-awful...
don't even bring that up.
Yeah, that guy that was trying to do... The guy who was doing a worse Russian accent than I could have done.
Swanky glasses, though.
Oh, yeah, swanky glasses. But
yeah, those are my next pair of frames, by the way. I'm going to...
Please, God, no.
I got to put those bad boys on order.
Please, God, no. Anyway, Rusev has been pretty damn good as a heel. He's, by himself. You've seen him. You got to hear him work his chops on a mic by himself, especially with that whole prepared statement that he had that John Cena was just seething over, talking about how America is weak, and I thought that was brilliant. And you're starting to realize that this big dude, even, that this big dude who we once thought needed someone like Lana's starting to quickly become just really, really nice-looking window dressing. I mean, don't get me wrong. I do not ever want to stop seeing Lana, but Rusev can be a jackass, anti-American by himself and do pretty damn well. At least I think so.
I got a behind-the-scenes question about Lana. When she was at University of Florida, is she not one of the ones that Brett Favre sent pictures of his Peppy to?
I don't think so.
I've heard that. I want to check that out. I believe that's right.
Who knows?
We ask the hard-hitting questions on AO Radio.
Yeah, we definitely do. Where's Lemke when you need him? Damn. Todd just completely derailed the show because Brett Favre.
I win.
Junk. Damn you, son of a bitch. I win. Yeah, but
remarkable point by Brett Favre.
Oh God. But getting back to it, I think this is one of the few times that a John Cena match has been built up very well. What say you guys? Todd.
Oh, I couldn't hear what you said there. I still have trouble getting into a John Cena match just because of the bad work rate. Rusev, the Russian character, when was the last Russian character that really was over before him?
Well, they haven't really done a Russian character in quite a while.
I mean, the last time I think they tried it was when Nikolai Volkov came back as Ted DiBiase's workman.
Oh no, they did. What was that guy? He was tag team partner.
Vladimir Kozlov.
Yes,
Kozlov.
But then again, Kozlov wasn't necessarily an anti-American. He was just a Russian with a very, very credible background outside of wrestling from Sambo and his martial arts background. He was just a credible friggin' athlete.
Well, I guess the real question
happened to be Russian.
What would be the point of Cena winning this match? Would that kind of kill Rusev's push?
Yeah, it would. But that's what they're going to do because it's Cena.
Is Lana going to help him?
I can only hope that Lana finds a way to cost Cena the match. I can only hope that. Sadly enough, I think we're going to see another what I refer to as Super Cena moment where, John Cena, Rusev could take an AK-47, blow about 15 holes in John Cena's chest. Cena would get up, hit an AA, slap on the STF and still win, and then walk out like nothing happened because he's Super Cena.
You know what the really ironic part is about WWE right now playing up the WCW die, they lost and everything? They are WCW right now.
Yeah. They very much are.
They're keeping all the big boys on top and squashing the guys who have talent.
Uh-huh. But you don't have... And you've got a member of the clique who's pretty much handling a lot of that.
Mm-hmm.
In WCW it was Nash, and WWE it's Triple H, which is... kind of ironic. I didn't really think of it that way. Let's see. We got 1, 2, 3 matches to go. Crego, you get the next one.
I'll go Orton Rollins.
All right. We saved the two important ones for last, even though I think... All right. Show of hands. I don't think I'm the only person here. We always talk about every year there's going to be one match that steals the show. Is this it?
Probably.
Yeah. The show's pretty weak. I'm sorry, but the show's weak, so yeah, probably so.
No, the show is extremely weak. This is going to go down as probably one of the worst WrestleManias of all time.
Next to Lawrence Taylor.
And WrestleMania 16. The one with the Fatal 4-Way, Rock, Show, Triple H, and Foley.
Right.
That WrestleMania was an abortion in its own right.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is going to go down as one of the worst ones. But this match is going to be good. Why? Because Orton can have a great match with just about anybody. And Seth Rollins can have a great match with just about anybody. And to me, I think from an athletic standpoint, Seth Rollins is to this generation of wrestler what Shelton Benjamin was years ago, 5-6 years ago. He just
little bitch?
Not necessarily that. I was thinking more along the lines of just an absolute freakish athlete.
Just shout out to Jericho is all that was.
I know. But, yeah, I love watching Rollins wrestle. I think he's absolutely amazing because he's just so freaking agile. And Orton is just Orton over the last couple of years has just become a freaking technician. Everything he does is just so precise and just cutting.
He's his dad's boy.
Oh, I know. I mean, as he gets older, you see more and more of the ace in him in terms of his technique, and it's awesome. And yeah, you're gonna see some involvement from Jamie Noble and Joey Mercury. You have to. And let's go ahead and be honest. One or both of them is going to catch an RKO.
Oh, absolutely.
You have to. Let me go ahead and ask you this. Does it what helps Seth Rollins more? Losing here or winning here? Crego.
I think if he loses, then you've got a feud that could go all the way to Money in the Bank because the clock is starting to tick on that briefcase too for Seth Rollins. So I think you could spin this off on a couple months worth, and then have Seth look to start thinking about, okay, I need to cash this briefcase in somewhere. Yeah. So I think you could see Orton pull one out and then have them have a program for like 2 months or something like that, and then by the time Night of Champions comes around, or by the time, Money in the Bank would be in July, so, maybe at Night of Champions is when he cashes in the briefcase.
Todd, what say you?
Rollins has to lose this match.
I agree.
Just because he's going to cash in the briefcase, I would say either at Mania or Raw the next night. And they need to show that the champion is beatable. So if you watch, pretty much when someone's about to win the title, they start losing matches.
Yep.
Because then they get their comeuppance.
Uh-huh. I agree more with you, Todd, and here's why. Number one, just like you said, Rollins has to lose this. Rollins cannot go in to WrestleMania, win, and beat Orton, and then turn around at the end of the night and cash in on the winner of Reigns and Lesnar. It can't happen. He's got to lose. Absolutely has to. Even if he's not cashing in till Monday night or weeks after, he still has to lose. And you got to realize you're looking at a very strong possibility of whoever wins this main event between Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns still does not walk out of WrestleMania as the champ. They win the main event, but they don't leave with the title. Because have we ever had anybody cash in Money in the Bank at WrestleMania? The answer is no. It's got to happen at some point. Somebody's blowing their nose. I'm betting Crego.
Sorry about that. I was trying to walk away from the phone and do it. I didn't think my phone would pick it up. I'm sorry.
Oh, no big deal. I was just gonna rip on you, but whatever. Todd, how do you
rip on me anyway? So
yeah, exactly. Todd, agree or disagree with that point?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean,
it's simple psychology.
Yeah. But I think right now, as far as that topic, we kind of need to pump the brakes because that can tie into the main event in 100 different ways. So let's kind of put that on pause and let's talk about Sting versus Triple H. Todd, set the stage.
Sting wins. Next match?
No, that's all you. That's all you want to say. Is Sting wins next match?
Color man, the business for nothing.
For For the Indians, 0 runs on 1 hit. 1 hit. One goddamn hit.
You can't say goddamn on the radio.
Goddamn in the air.
Oh, who cares? Nobody's listening anyway.
Just before the show, I pulled up Wikipedia to see all the matches lined up, and it set me aback seeing Sting's name on this. That's just so freaking weird.
All right, but okay.
Can anyone disagree with that?
It is weird, but it's at the same time it's awesome.
10 years ago it would have been a lot more awesome. I'll tell you that much.
10 years it would have been a lot more awesome. But let's go ahead and set this stage in this studio. You got 3 wrestling fans all over the age of 35. So we have all been watching wrestling for as long as any of us can remember. Mm-hmm. I mean, Crego and I are roughly about the same age. Todd's a little bit older, and by a little bit older, I mean he's 95.
What?
I had to, but
that sound you heard was Todd being thrown under the bus.
All right, we always rip on Todd for being older, just like we rip on me for being an idiot and Limke for being a jackass. But whatever. I have a lot deeper ties to WCW than either one of you guys. Crego will go ahead and throw.
Shit.
I'm a Southerner. God damn it! This was my fucking promotion, bitch.
I was watching it before you were born.
Good point.
Yeah.
Good point. You were watching NWA. That is correct. I'll throw Crego under the bus. Crego, growing up in Buffalo, New York, didn't watch WCW. He didn't watch Nitro. He just watched Raw.
True. I didn't even know of Nitro until I moved to Cleveland, and even then I just didn't watch it for whatever reason. We didn't have cable when I was a kid, so SmackDown was on UPN or whatever it was, so that's what I watched, and that's what I, kind of cut my teeth on. And I was aware of everything else that was going on in WCW, but I never actually saw it. And that's one of the nice things about the network is I can go back and I can watch everything back.
Not everything, because they're still not showing the really good Sting shit.
So much good stuff you're missing off there.
Oh yeah, let's go ahead and be honest. I am waiting for them to put the next year of Nitro on the network. Because wherever they stopped was, if they will go from that December all the way to the next Starrcade, where you see the entire year of Sting not saying a word, that's going to be awesome. Mm-hmm. But I'm waiting for that. Anyway,
what I'm talking about for me is a means to get an education about it. I mean, it's a good starting point. I know it's not the sum total, but it's a good starting point.
It is a very good starting point. I just can't wait till they get to the rest of it. But me, as a wrestling fan who grew up very close to WCW's home office, Todd, growing up, who was your favorite wrestler?
Depends on what era. My first favorite wrestler ever was Larry Zbyszko. I think I mentioned that to you before.
Yeah, let me pigeonhole it. When you were 10 years old, who was your favorite wrestler?
Tommy Wildfire Rich.
Crego, when your favorite wrestler, and I'll go ahead and throw it out there because it's the same guy it's been since day one. Your guy's always been The Rock.
Yes. Of course, that was Hulk Hogan when I was a kid, but who wasn't? But when I became of age to appreciate and know what's going on, The Rock's always been me.
I was not a I was a Hulk Hogan guy, but he wasn't that was not my dude.
I was a Piper guy.
I was a Sting guy. Always have been. Sting was my dude when I was a kid. I mean, let's go ahead and rewind back to Survivor Series. I'm sitting in Brian Crego's living room, as our entire little group is. Here comes Scott Armstrong for the 3 count at the end of that match. 1, 2, lights go out. You hear the crow sound. Out walks Sting. First words out of my mouth, ladies and gentlemen, God.
Yep.
I mean, this is my guy. Do what? What?
Patrick had an epiphany.
No, Patrick went fangirl on that one. But to me, being able to see Sting in a WrestleMania, I do not care that it has been 14 years since WCW closed and he spent the last decade and a half in freaking TNA wasting away. I don't care because it's still Sting. And WWE, in my opinion, guys, and you feel free to interject if you disagree with me, I feel that they have done a very, very good job of preserving the ambiance that is Sting during this whole build-up. I mean, he didn't say a freaking word until 2 weeks ago.
Right. I mean, you trot him out every week and you put him in matches every week, you're gonna wear it out really quickly. Obviously, with his age and all that, he can't go like he could back in 1993 or 1997 or 2003 or whatever it was. But they've used him expertly. They've used him when it's mattered to the storyline, and I like seeing him go at it with Stephanie a little bit last week in the ring. That's going to be an interesting match on Sunday night.
Todd, what say you?
Well, the good thing about it is on the put him against Triple H. Triple H is sports entertainment, but he is a wrestler.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's what's going to make it a good match if they actually wrestle.
I think they will.
Don't do stupid interferences. Keep Stephanie away. Let them wrestle and tell the story.
I think they will. And one thing I absolutely love, and I've referenced my wife a couple times tonight because she's watched a lot of the build-up going into this year's WrestleMania, a little bit more than she has in the past. But we're watching Fastlane last month, and that pay-per-view was god-awful, but there was only one good thing about it, in my opinion, and that was the altercation between Triple H and Sting. Triple H Triple H clocks him with the microphone, gets a couple of shots in, and then gets the sledgehammer. Goes up to Sting, and then all of a sudden, baseball bat right under the chin. Nobody saw it coming. Well, if you knew Sting, then yeah, you saw it coming, but it was just a nice throwback. And then this past Monday on Raw, Triple H and Stephanie get the sledgehammer, and as Triple H is climbing into the ring, Sting pulls the baseball bat out like a sword, and it's almost without saying a word, as if to say, "You were saying?
Let's dance."
Yeah, I've loved this build-up. The build-up that Bray Wyatt has had for his match against Undertaker, and the next match have been the only saving grace of this show. From a physical standpoint, the physical build-up of this match has been the best thing that they've done. No question about it.
I also like the Triple H interview with Michael Cole where it cuts in and Triple H has the face paint on. Like it cuts in and out of his face, like painted like Sting. That was sweet. That was like, that gives you shivers.
They've done a lot of weird little creepy camera tricks for this build-up, and I thought they've all paid off. Todd, how about you?
I loved it. It's very much a throwback to when Sting first took on the Crow gimmick. So I clap for them and just the good thing about the match is wrestling is a lot like dancing. There is a lead and there is someone that follows. And Sting will tell you himself he's not a good leader in matches. He has to be told what to do next, basically. Luckily, Triple H is a good leader.
Triple H is one of the best at that. I think even though you've got two guys over 40 in this match, I wouldn't be surprised if this ends up being an absolutely great match. I would not be surprised at all. I'm hoping it's not. Crego, just go ahead and expect it. When Sting busts out a Stinger Splash on Triple H, I'm going to go giddy. It's going to happen, baby. It's absolutely going to happen.
Luckily for you, we've rearranged the living room a little bit to give you some space to go giddy. So,
all right.
And cool. Put down the plastic.
Yeah. Like they do to celebrate, for the champagne spraying and all that stuff. We'll staple some tarps up and,
Nice, because we have to keep that carpet safe because I help rip up the old stuff.
True.
Yeah, home improvement, baby. Anyway, Todd, since it has been such a long time since you have been a part of this show, I'll let you get us into the main event.
The main event of the evening for the World Wrestling Entertainment Championship, Roman Reigns against the Beast Incarnate, Brock Lesnar.
Not bad. Crego.
It translates Radio.
Yeah. Crego, your thoughts?
I've always appreciated him before this, but making it a point to watch him every single week, sell it. I mean, what else can you say about Paul Heyman?
Absolutely.
I mean, he has been coming out every single week. You know, his cadence, the way he cocks the microphone to the side when he's talking, you know, the way he lets his voice break or doesn't let it break, you know, his calmness or his, you know, about to lose it, you know, that kind of thing. And he's been testifying every single week, and he's going to put an ass every 18 inches, as they say, you know, because he's making this match very, very compelling in a way that I don't think either of the two participants probably could.
Absolutely not. Todd, I will give you final say on the buildup of this. I'd like to go, and then we'll kind of interject some other thoughts.
The reason... I'm sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm giving you last word. I'm going to jump in, then I'll let you go. The MVP of WrestleMania is Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman has sold this main event with just a microphone. And some of the lines that he has uttered in the last 4 weeks have been just absolutely compelling. Prime example. One of two things happens, and I'm paraphrasing here. One of two things happens in this match. Brock Lesnar delivers a prison beating, use those words, prison beating to Roman Reigns that makes John Cena at SummerSlam look like a walk in the park. Or B, Brock Lesnar Ronda Rousey's your ass. That was amazing. And also the fact of last Monday night, you know, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Paul Heyman. I'm the advocate for Brock Lesnar, blah, blah, blah. You know, he goes through all that. And then for the next 30 seconds, yak, 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 yak. If I haven't sold you on WrestleMania already, I'm not going to. Like, thank you. That's all you needed to say. And then he proceeded to go on this whole Roman Reigns wants to take money away from Brock Lesnar, take food off of his children's plates, and rename his kids, Roman Reigns. It's just
right.
That was so amazing.
Said that too.
Do what?
Lesnar's head jerked around when Heyman said that, like he wants to what? Wait, what?
And then he turns that around by saying Brock Lesnar will take food off will take money away from you. Will take food off of your children's plates, and will name your children Lesnar. Lesnar looks at Heyman and goes, "That was pretty good."
Yeah.
You could just see him. You could just see his lips moving. That was pretty good. Okay, Todd. Your thoughts on the build-up to the match before we get into the fun stuff that happened yesterday. Go for it.
Well, first of all, the only thing that keeps me from saying that Paul is the only one and only absolute god of the microphone is the work that Jim Cornette used to do in NWA.
Hello, Bobby the Brain Heenan.
But he wasn't as prolonged as these guys, though.
Very true.
He was more one-liners here and there. These guys just kept going and going and going and going.
Because, Roddy Piper's parents used to send him to school with his lunch wrapped in a road map. One of the greatest Heenan lines ever.
Well, the funny thing about Ricky Ataki is 20 minutes after you wrestle him, you want to wrestle him again.
Oh, yes. Sir, how long have you been married? 13 years. Do you realize if you would have killed her on your wedding night, you'd be out of jail now?
Exactly.
Bobby Heenan.
Love you, Bobby.
Bobby Heenan was amazing. It was amazing. Anyway, continue your point.
Roman Reigns has added nothing to the hype, so Paul really has had to step forward and sell this match. Just watching Roman Reigns lead up to this thing, do you even care?
No.
Has he said or done anything to make you care about this match?
Absolutely not.
Does he seem passionate about it?
The one time he did, I'll disagree with you a little bit. The one time he did was that 1 week where the bad snowstorm canceled the live show.
Oh.
And they were at the studios. That was compelling, where they had FaceTime with all three of them. They talked with, and you got to kind of, Roman, I think, loosened up a little bit, and he kind of let his guard down a little bit. He let you inside, and you saw, I am motivated. It does bother me that people think that I'm not charismatic enough, this, that, the other thing.
But since then, he's proved that he's not.
True.
Very much true.
I agree with you. That's very much. He did open up there, but then since then, he hasn't done anything to capitalize on that. And that's why he's not going to be a good champion if he wins this thing and they let him keep it.
No, I don't think he will either. I've got a couple of interesting thoughts on what could happen, but we'll get to those in a little bit. Let's talk about the massive news that happened at about 6 o'clock, 6:30 last night. Brock Lesnar sits down for an exclusive interview in Los Angeles on the set of SportsCenter on ESPN with Michelle Beadle. Now, this is the week before WrestleMania, and as everybody knows, Lesnar's contract's expiring at midnight the night of WrestleMania. He's done. Okay, Lesnar's sitting with Michelle Beadle on SportsCenter, and he has something very important to say. First thing going through my mind is, oh shit, he's going to the UFC and he's announcing it before WrestleMania. This is not gonna be good for WrestleMania. This is gonna be even worse than when Lesnar had the news broke right before WrestleMania 20 that Lesnar was leaving to go to the NFL to try his hand at the NFL. This is going to be worse. What happens? I'm closing the door on MMA. I re-signed with the WWE last night. Game changer. Because let's go ahead and be honest, boys and girls. Everything about WrestleMania that you thought was cut and dried going to happen just got shat on last night. Because now it's fair game. Because anybody with a half a brain, Lesnar's leaving, Lesnar's contract's up, Roman Reigns wins. It's kind of wide open now. Your thoughts? Guys?
Sir, would you like to go first?
I'll go first. And I'll dovetail this with a point that I wrote down about, I watched that interview, and Patrick, I texted you and said they're about to interview Lesnar, and you're like, yeah, I know. I'm ready to watch it. I found him to be very, very, very engaging during that interview because there was no Heyman, there was no handlers, there was no nothing. It was just him and Michelle Beadle sitting there, and there was a little snark, in some of the things he said. I'm an older, wiser caveman now, and it just made me sit there, and I thought to myself, why, oh why, can't you be more like that on Raw? Why do you want to just let everybody else talk for you? I know you were never much of a talker when you were younger, but he must not have a desire to be a talker. He must be fine with letting everybody else speak for him, because I'm not saying he's got to be all fun, happy, joy, but I'm just an ass kicker. It gets a little old after a while. You flesh the character out if you talk a little bit more and make yourself a little more relatable. But I agree with you that it's a game changer that he's coming back and that he's devoting all of his energy now to WWE.
Todd, do you have any thoughts on that? Because I've got an interesting what if I'd like to get into whenever you finish up this point that you might have.
Well, I didn't see the interview on ESPN, but I think the reason why that he doesn't do the talking on WWE is because of one reason, and that would be Paul Heyman.
Okay.
I love to hear him talk.
Okay.
I love to see Brock Lesnar kick ass.
I got an interesting what if for you.
All right.
Very interesting what if. And Crego makes a very valid point about how Brock Lesnar was perceived last night on SportsCenter, and I came up with this idea today on my lunch break because I was reading a lot of kind of the reactions to that, and a lot of people were, kind of responding the same way Crego did in his text messages to me last night, and also what he just said, which leads me to this crazy what if, because it wouldn't be the first time this has happened. Ladies and
I think
gentlemen,
I know where you're going.
ladies and gentlemen, my name is Paul Heyman, and I am the advocate for the reigning, defending, undisputed WWE Heavyweight Champion of the world, the man who conquered the Conqueror, Roman Reigns.
Well, I could easily see that.
Brock Lesnar turns face. They do the Hogan Rock from WrestleMania 18 on Sunday night. Reigns leaves Mania with the title and Paul Heyman, and Lesnar shows up on Raw Monday night to try to kill him as a good guy. Because Lesnar's already getting cheered because it's the freakish athlete that is Brock Lesnar.
Yep.
Brock Lesnar isn't just a guy who, as John Cena phrased it, he's a mercenary. Brock Lesnar is a once-in-3 generations type of athlete that he can do any damn thing he wants to. The last time we saw a guy like that, his name was Bo Jackson. The last time before Jackson we saw a guy like that, his name was Muhammad Ali. Just an absolute physical game changer. And Lesnar can be a good guy and be an ass kicker.
And maybe if they do that storyline, they'll do it a lot better than they did when Heyman did it to Lesnar when he was wrestling Big Show.
Yeah.
Probably have
When
a
Big
much
Show
better
had
match.
Stan Shoot.
Yeah, but look at it this way, guys. Ty, you asked the question earlier. Has Roman Reigns done anything to make me care about this match? No. And why? Because every time Roman Reigns opens his mouth on camera, I want to fall asleep. Okay, boys and girls, how do you combat that? You give him a mouthpiece. Mm-hmm. Well, how many mouthpieces are there in the WWE? Lana.
Not many.
There's Lana, and there's Heyman. Well, Heyman's with Brock Lesnar.
What's AW doing right now? Give him AW.
Yes, sir. Nicely
Problems.
done.
That's what we do on AO Radio. We solve problems.
Hashtag millions of dollars. Hashtag money making scholars. Hashtag
Noah can hear every week again.
Hashtag rape joke.
Noah can hear every week then if that happens.
What?
Ha 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 ha.
Yeah, good point.
Atlas.
Oh yeah. But Roman Reigns needs a mouthpiece, and if they want Roman, let's go ahead and look at it as it is, boys and girls. Roman Reigns is not going to get over as a face. I'm sorry. It's not going to happen because the fans are already starting to react negatively to the fact that we all feel he's being crammed down our throats.
Sorry, Rock.
Yeah. Hey, even The Rock can't get this guy over.
That's tough.
True.
And that's bad. When The Rock...
That's an indictment.
No, it's massive indictment. When The Rock can't get your ass over just because he's fucking related to you. Nope. Not going to happen. And Roman Reigns doesn't have any endearing qualities in terms of a personality standpoint. He
wears a mean flak jacket.
He wears a mean flak jacket. I mean, look, this is the point that I was making with my wife last night. Roman Reigns has not evolved at all since the destruction of the Shield. He still comes out to the Shield's music, still dresses like a member of the Shield. Meanwhile, Ambrose and Rollins have gone off and done their own little thing. Mm-hmm. Roman Reigns has not evolved. And that's another reason why a lot of people see him as boring. I mean, his hand motion that he does is still the damn Shield's thing, except without two other guys. I mean, come on. I mean, this is like, this is Ric Flair. No, let's rewind. This is Arn Anderson going to the center of the ring by himself and throwing up four fingers. No Tully, no Barry, no Ole, no Rick, no JJ, no nothing. Just Arn Anderson by himself. All right, you were the enforcer of the Four Horsemen, but you're by yourself now. Okay, good for you. No slow clap. Slow clap. To me, Reigns, and I'm going to be honest, Reigns as a heel with Paul Heyman as his mouthpiece, I would buy that.
That would be compelling.
I would very much buy that. Because number one, you got a massive switcheroo. Number two, vengeance is going to be a bitch because here comes Lesnar. And, Lesnar, as we now know, he ain't leaving. So you can bet your ass he's going to be on Raw Monday night one way or the other. Champion or not. And if he's not the champ, somebody might die. And it's going to be great. It's going to be compelling for the first time in a long time.
But here's the problem with that scenario.
Okay.
Say that he does Paul does turn on Brock, and Roman wins the title. What happens with Seth Rollins? How's he going to cash in the money in the bank on that?
Oh, no, there's 1,000 different things they can do. There's 1,000 different ways you can do that. Because, number one, all right, let's go through the hypotheticals here. Heyman turns on Lesnar. Reigns wins the title. Rollins still cashes in. Rollins leaves WrestleMania as the champ. He opens Monday Night Raw as the WWE World Heavyweight Champion, Seth Rollins. Okay, so now...
But then you have a triple threat match. Boy, it's just going to be ridiculous.
You can't do that, though.
No.
That makes Reigns weak right away. You can't do that right off the bat.
Yeah.
Well... No,
and I was saying it sarcastic. That's not what I want.
Oh, I know
the triple
that.
threat match is not a panacea for everything.
Right, but here.
Did you just hear what he said?
Yeah.
Panacea.
I know. Define that one.
I think I may have used that one wrong. I think I meant anathemia, like a Band-Aid or a magic fix. I think I used the words wrong. I'm sorry.
Why? Like anybody that listens to this damn show knows what the fuck you're saying anyway.
That's the DSS Machina.
Yeah.
Again, keep in mind, ladies and
gentlemen. Keep in
mind, ladies and gentlemen. Todd for a living is an actor. Patrick for a living prints stuff. Crego for a living is a teacher.
Woo!
Yeah. So I mean, he wins. He wins. Lemke for a living is a man whore.
Whoa.
I went there. He's really not. I just like busting his balls for anything I can. I agree with you, Todd. Reigns winning the title, then losing to Rollins makes Reigns weak. Yes, but 2 days ago, before we knew that Lesnar was absolutely coming back to WWE, nobody had a problem with Reigns beating Lesnar and then Rollins beating Reigns. Nobody had a problem with it until the game changed last night. Now everybody's got a problem with it.
Well, then don't forget what I said earlier. It's not written anywhere that Rollins has to cash it in at the end of Sunday night, because he's still got, theoretically, 4 more months to hold on to that briefcase and do it when it's more opportune for him. If they're trying to build up, if the swerve does happen, they're trying to build up Reigns with Heyman as a mouthpiece.
Right, but here's the thing. Why would you hold on to it past WrestleMania? I didn't understand how Ziggler... I didn't understand why Ziggler didn't cash it in on Del Rio, at WrestleMania. I didn't understand that. He cashed it in the night after WrestleMania, which I thought was stupid. I mean, maybe it's because everybody expects it. I don't know.
Perhaps.
So,
what do you think of a triple turn, though? With Roman Reigns wins the title, Paul Heyman goes over to his side. Seth Rollins tries to cash in, but he gets destroyed by Roman Reigns, and he turns face.
If Seth Rollins cashes in on Roman Reigns, Paul Heyman or no Paul Heyman, Seth Rollins becomes a face.
Yeah.
Whether the WWE likes it or not, because they don't like Roman Reigns. Now, keep in mind, Roman Reigns as a heel with Heyman as his mouthpiece, to be completely honest, it doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter. You made the point that it might make Roman Reigns look weak. I disagree, and here's why. I just a little while ago made a statement: biggest heel in the company, Seth Rollins. Roman Reigns uses Paul Heyman to get the title and becomes, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Paul Heyman, blah blah blah, Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns is the biggest heel in the company overnight.
True.
Because the fans already don't like him. And now you've got this happening.
You could also argue that Paul Heyman, that same night of the snowstorm, he actually paid a lot of compliments to Roman Reigns. He, praised him for the hard work, and he praised him for the lineage, and he praised him for this, and he praised him for that. That could have been planting the seeds for a swerve.
Yeah,
at that point, I'm going to butter you up so that I can become your mouthpiece.
To me, what happened last night on SportsCenter, on ESPN of all freaking things,
eyes on the product,
just opened up everything. Opened up everything for the main event at WrestleMania. All bets are off now. Whereas 48 hours ago, I think anybody with a half a brain saw Roman Reigns beats Lesnar, Seth Rollins cashes in on Reigns, and there's your feud moving forward, was Rollins and Reigns. And that would have made perfect sense because Lesnar's no longer in the picture. Lesnar's going to the UFC. So, you have to think for the future, so Rollins has to cash in on Reigns. Now that Lesnar's staying, game on. I mean, everything, to steal a line from Roddy Piper, just when you think you have all the answers, I change the questions. And that's exactly what's just happened. And this is going to make the main event that much more intriguing because now, who knows?
And then what does that do to the Authority? Because if Seth Rollins turns face with the title, I can't see him continuing to be a part of the Authority.
He still will because they would try to force that. The fans will cheer him, just like the fans cheered Dolph Ziggler when he cashed in on Del Rio.
Yeah.
He'll still be a heel, but the fans are going to cheer the shit out of him because, hey, you're cashing in on Reigns and we don't like Reigns. Hey, Dolph Ziggler, you're cashing in on Del Rio. We don't like Del Rio. Hey, let's be honest. I mean, you can be a heel, but the fans don't have to buy it. Case in point, Stone Cold Steve Austin.
What?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. What?
Well played.
That was the most. That heel turn that Austin had can be just described by one horrible phrase: constipated orgasm. It was. I mean, there was no payoff, and it backfired.
But he sang Kumbaya.
In Birmingham, Alabama, by the way. That happened in fucking Birmingham, Alabama. I was at that show. Motherfucker. It was awesome. Because I went with the girl I was dating at the time, my friend Amy and her husband Scott, and I looked right at Scott and went, he's going to sing Kumbaya. No, he's not. Kumbaya. I'm like, yes, called it. It was great. Anyway, let's go ahead and wrap this bad boy up. At the end of the day, Todd Bobenreith, what happens in the main event?
I still say Reigns wins the belt one way or the other.
No. Gun to the head, your prediction for the finish. Not just Reigns wins. What happens?
Well, Paulie doesn't...
Call your shot.
Paulie doesn't have any gimmicks with him, so he's not going to hit him with the phone or anything, so it's got to be a clean pin, unless he hits him with a chair. It's got to be a distraction. It's the only thing I can think of. How would you distract him, though?
Or a chair gets involved in the ring. There you go. A distraction. There's a lot of different ways you can do it, but...
Triple H comes down and says, this match is now a no DQ.
Something like that. All right. So Reigns wins. Is he a Paul Heyman guy or no?
Yes.
All right, you're saying he is a Paul Heyman guy. Crego, your thoughts?
I'm going to say, because that notion that you just laid out a while ago intrigues me, because it would make for high theater the following night. I'm going to echo what Todd has just said. I think Reigns wins with help from Paul Heyman. There's no cash in, and the next day Lesnar's loaded for bear. But the only interference is from Paul Heyman, though. Nobody else gets involved, because you want to muddy it up with like 7, 8, 9 different run-ins from all these other supporting characters.
You don't want Goldberg versus Kevin Nash.
No.
Here's my take on it, and we're all looking the same way. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Paul Heyman, and I am the advocate for the conqueror of the conquerors, Roman Reigns. We fast forward to Monday night on Raw. Reigns is the champ. Reigns gets in a predicament where he's already beaten up from his match at WrestleMania. Here comes Seth Rollins to cash in on Monday night. And then here comes the pain. Rollins cashes in and does not win the title because Lesnar destroys them both. And there is Lesnar's face turn. There you go.
I can see that happening.
I see a failed cash-in. Coming on Monday night. And unfortunately, that's going to do more to damage Rollins. But, oh well. Not with what we've just learned in the last 24 hours.
You've made two people at the expense of him, which, Rollins has the chops to recover, where I don't think somebody else would.
Right, and at the same time, with Lesnar working a limited schedule, I still think that Rollins can still benefit from that. So it's still gonna look good in my opinion.
We don't know how limited that schedule is yet, though.
Very true. Very true.
Contract.
So, all right. Well, that's going to do it for this wonderful WrestleMania 31 edition of Audibly Offensive Radio. We'd like to thank you guys, as always, for joining us. Before we get out of here, any final thoughts, Crego?
I didn't know if you were planning on talking about this tonight, because I wrote this down in the event you guys did, but I don't know if you've gone too long and we can't talk about it and we have to save it for another time.
What's up?
You texted me a couple of weeks ago about who would you put on wrestling's Mount Rushmore.
Oh shit! I forgot all about that. Good point, Todd. Let's go ahead and let's talk this real quick. I don't really give a crap that we're going almost 2 hours. I don't care. Whatever.
This is WrestleMania.
Yeah, it's WrestleMania. Wrestling's Mount Rushmore. Crego, I'll let you go first.
How many names we put up there first of all? How many are we going? Are we going 4 or 5, or what are we going with?
How many faces are on Mount Rushmore?
4.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that would be Quattro.
Yeah. So you're going Mount Rushmore. You're not gonna do. Hey, you're not pulling a Chris Lemke. Hey, Chris, we're doing a top 10. Well, I gave you 15. Hey, Lemke.
I'm going to start with honorable mentions.
Yeah.
No.
Hey, Lemke, top 5 best matches wrestling matches you ever saw. Well, I've got a list of 26. No, Lemke does that shit. No, you get 4. No honorable mentions. You're not putting another face on the mountain. 4 faces.
Well, it's one of those faces that turns every 5 minutes, so it's another face the next time you look, and that's how I can have...
No, this is not a damn Matrix. This is not a damn Matrix board. All right, Crego, I'll let you go.
Well, I did come up with 4.
Okay.
And I have reasons for each one of them. So my first one will be Ric Flair.
Okay.
Because of career longevity, the number of title reigns he had, and all the wrestlers that he made by getting in matches with them, getting in feuds with them. Terry Funk, Barry Windham, Sting, the list goes on and on.
Okay.
My second person will be Hulk Hogan, because he had a lot to do with making wrestling mainstream in the 80s, getting eyes on the product and getting a lot of people to talk about it, where it used to be just a certain percentage of the population talked about it. I would put Stone Cold Steve Austin on there because of all the catchphrases, all the storylines, the fact that he was an anti-hero who was over with the fans. And my fourth person would be The Undertaker, because of his ability to adapt over his long career and the record he was able to amass at WrestleMania in relevant matches, not just squash matches, but he was wrestling for the titles a lot of times. They were compelling storylines with guys like Shawn Michaels, guys like Triple H. So those would be my four. And I'm already thinking about a dozen guys that I could have argued for instead of one of those four. But
there's going to be a ton of guys that you're going to leave off that could easily make it, but you're limited to four.
Gun to my head, that's who I picked.
Todd.
I'm still working on it. You go ahead.
Okay. Crego, you and I agree on 3 of the 4. I'm very surprised we did not run the table together. I'm just very surprised we did not go with the 4th. As much of a Sting guy as I am, Sting is not on the Mount Rushmore. Ric Flair, however, is, because when you think of professional wrestling, Ric Flair was an artist. Ric Flair, in his heyday, was one of the best mat technicians there ever was. And he was one of the first guys from the 70s on that could deliver a great 5-star quality match and a 5-star quality promo. He was ahead of his time. So he makes my Mount Rushmore because of that. Hulk Hogan makes my Mount Rushmore because he brought wrestling to new heights twice.
Yep.
Number one, in the 1980s, Hulkamania running wild. Everybody in this room was a Hulkamaniac at some point. Todd, don't lie.
Bullshit.
You were as much of a Hulkamaniac as
I was a Piperholic the whole time.
Oh, whatever.
I will guarantee you that.
Whatever, you lying son of a bitch. Whatever. Anyway, moving right along. So he becomes this global icon in the 1980s. He is on the President's Council for Physical Fitness in the 80s. He was everything and everywhere. And then 1990, Sports Illustrated covers, cartoons, movies, No Holds Barred. That was awesome. Yes, I love that freaking god-awful movie. I will watch it again and again. It was that terrible, but I like terrible movies. Just like Crego likes terrible music.
Whatever.
Crego cried at the end of Glee.
Yes, I did. I'm not ashamed to admit it either. I'll miss that show.
He was, one thing I always rip on Crego for, he was a huge Glee fan. But we're not going to get into that. Number 3.
Next week's show, we'll break down all seasons of Glee. Here we go.
Exactly. But 1995 happens, and Hulk Hogan does the unthinkable. Hulk Hogan becomes a bad guy. Hulk Hogan was an awesome bad guy. The NWO was amazing, and Hogan was a massive part of that because it was the unthinkable. And because he was able to transcend wrestling and make it cool twice in 2 different generations, Hulk Hogan goes on the Mount Rushmore. At the same time, while Hulk Hogan was making wrestling cool, there was another guy working for the other guys that made wrestling very cool, and his name was Stone Cold Steve Austin. Easily the most popular star in the history of the WWE. He saved a company. Let's go ahead and be honest. Stone Cold Steve Austin 3:16 doesn't happen. WCW wins the Monday Night War. Let's go ahead and call it what it is. So Austin goes on the Mount Rushmore, and my last one is The Rock. because even though The Rock, much younger than Hogan and Austin, and didn't have the same wrestling pedigree that those guys had, The Rock, because of his star power, took wrestling to heights it is never seen. Because even though The Rock has been in major motion picture blockbusters, and he's probably the only guy in Hollywood that Todd Bobenreith hasn't worked with, you're talking about a guy, okay, The Rock is going to be in this new Fast and the Furious movie. But you look at The Rock, and you know what? He's still a pro wrestler. He's still a wrestler. But he's a wrestler that is in major motion pictures, and he's playing an integral role in them, and they're not terrible movies. They're not No Holds Barred. They're not Suburban Commando or Mr. Nanny. He's in some pretty damn good movies. And because of his ability on the screen to transcend what a wrestler can achieve outside of the ring, he gets my fourth spot. So I got Flair, Hogan, Austin, Rock. Two guys from one generation, two guys from another. Todd, you're now on the hook.
You got 3 on my list.
Okay.
First and foremost, you have to put Hogan on there because we wouldn't be here talking about this if it wasn't for Hogan.
Absolutely.
Line. It would have stayed on the indies, on the local cable stations. It would have never got to the heights without Hogan ever. Ever.
Completely agreed.
Ric Flair, obviously, because he is the man you have to beat to be the man. Bottom line.
And you know what? He's having a hard time holding these alligators down.
What's causing all this?
Number 3 would be Austin, for exactly what you said. He was the Hogan of the 90s generation.
Absolutely.
Number 4 is one guy you didn't even think of, but you really should have.
Todd, real quick.
Go ahead.
Can you guys agree with me on what I said about Austin? The fact that he saved the WWE?
Yes and no. A great deal of the WCW falling is their own stupidity and their leadership. They would have fallen without Austin. Okay,
that's true. But would the WWE have gotten to where it got without Austin?
No.
Okay, that's the point that I was making. You know, WCW still would have fallen flat on its face, but you know, there's a difference in the WWE winning the Monday Night War like it did, and just being the last man standing. And without Steve Austin, they just would have been the last man standing and not necessarily winning.
Because you can make the argument that, it was a team effort, but everything, every other guy on the team I could mention spun off of the fact that Austin was so hot.
You know what?
Hey, Rock feuded with him, Triple H feuded with him, Bret Hart feuded with him, all that kind of stuff. So
the 1997 Chicago Bulls that went 72-10 was a team effort. But guess what? The team captain was still Michael freaking Jordan.
Yes.
Anyway, your fourth guy that we didn't think about, Todd.
The fourth guy on my list is a guy, we talk about people that changed wrestling forever. And when I think of the person who mostly changed wrestling from what it was to what it became, is the first sports entertainer, a man by the real name of George Wagner, better known as Gorgeous George. And you want to talk about popular outside the ring, Bob Hope was donating his robes to him because he loved him so much. Bob Dylan said he based a lot of what his ideas off of Gorgeous George.
Muhammad Ali
did. James Brown did. Gorgeous George was, in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, he was Hulk Hogan. People came to hate him, and he loved it. He changed wrestling. He was the first person.
Very true.
I would have loved to have seen him in person in his heyday.
I'm going to be honest. You know who I would have loved? If I could go back in time, who I would have loved to have seen? The original Nature Boy, Buddy Rogers.
Oh, yes.
I would have loved to have seen Rogers wrestle.
He controlled people. He controlled the crowd.
Yeah, see. That's what I love about the Mount Rushmore of wrestling conversation, because you can get a different answer, and the the answers that you're getting, Crego and I had similar answers, similar time frames. Todd, I guarantee you know, growing up in the area that you grew up in, being a little bit older, you probably also had a hard time not throwing San Martino in there.
San Martino was quite big when I first started wrestling. Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so you get someone just, 5 or 6 years older than Crego and I, and the answers might be a little bit different. But hypothetically, you get a wrestling fan in their 60s, and the answers are going to be vastly different because they remember a time of San Martino or Graham or any of those guys in the late 60s and 70s during that era. And it's also going to be a regional thing. Keep that in mind. Mm-hmm. You have a guy Todd's age, or in their early to mid 40s, grew up in Texas. You're gonna get what I promise you're gonna get the name Von Erich in there somewhere. Yep, Funk. Yeah, you're gonna get a Funk. Or you're gonna get a Von Erich. You're gonna get someone like that.
Stan Hansen.
Oh yeah, shit. Okay, let's go out of this country. Let's go into Japan. You're going to get a Muta, a Chono, a Stan Hansen. Because Stan Hansen was a freaking god in Japan.
Him and Brody. Mm-hmm.
Oh, my God, Bruiser Brody. I mean...
And Gordy, too.
Yeah, but I mean, I would really like to hear from our audience. Please feel free to tweet me and Todd. You can find me at AO Radio, Todd's at Demon User on Twitter. Please feel free to chime in on your thoughts on this. You can also email the show at pat@audiblyoffensive.com. We'd love to hear from you guys. Who is your Mount Rushmore of professional wrestling? I'd like to hear what you guys think on that. As I'm watching the Cavs and Memphis Grizzlies and Amon Shumpert just absolutely just butt-fucked a dunk. It was great. His flat top didn't even clear the rim. It was great. Anyway, moving right along. Good conversation, guys. Very good conversation. Looking forward to WrestleMania. Looking forward to hearing all of our wonderful aftermath talk that I'm sure that the three of us will have in the very near future. Todd, I've already let Crego go. Any final thoughts?
The only thing I fear worse than Eve against Alicia Fox is Fandango versus Adam Rose. I hate them so much.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? I would like to book one more match for this year's WrestleMania to give an absolutely horrible match. How about Fandango versus Adam Rose versus Santino Marella?
Versus Simon Dean.
Versus Simon. Simon Dean was terrible, but Nova in ECW was badass.
Nova was good.
Nova was great. So we can't really bust Simon Dean for that. He just got labeled with a shitty gimmick. But I will say
he had segue.
He did have a segue. But I will say this. If we do get a Fandango versus Adam Rose versus Santino Marella match, I will say this. There will be somebody in Brian Crego's bathroom within 30 seconds, and it will be me. And I will simply say, just knock on the door when it's safe to come out.
Isn't that the match every week on Superstars?
Pretty much. Well, that's going to wrap up this week's Audibly Offensive Radio. Thank you guys so much for joining our very special WrestleMania 31 edition. For the disembodied voice of Whit McGee, for the absentee landlord that is Chris Lemke, for all of our staff that makes this show possible, for all of our crazy-ass affiliates that put this crap on the air and syndicate us, for my very good friends Todd Bobenreith and Brian Crego, my name is Patrick Swafford. Enjoy WrestleMania. Game on. We'll see you then. See you next week.